Hello, I'm Dagmar Stancova, and welcome to Eating with Dagmar. Another hot day in North Carolina. I mean, seriously, I thought that fall was here. No, it's not. It's like still serious summer, and I think, what is it, mid-September? No, I have no idea what date it is. Let's see, what does my computer say? Oh, it's not mid-September. It's the beginning of September. Um, what is it that they say? It's hotter than what? It's hotter than the devil's nutsack. Okay. Enough of that southern talk. So, today I am going to make some, I think I'm going to call it creamy nectarine dessert for breakfast. And this is something that I think children will like. No, actually, I know children will like because I tested it yesterday. I was at a friend's house, Haley and William, and their kids ate it and they liked it. So it's a great way to get some serious nutrition into your kids, and it's also very easy, fast, and you can always have a bunch of jars in your refrigerator filled with this creamy nectarine dessert. I'm hesitating. I'm thinking, do I want to start this video again? There was something that I was going to mention. Anyway, whatever. I guess it's much better to just go with the flow and be in the moment. Dagmar, come back into the moment. You're here with your jars, your butter, your eggs, your nectarines. Okay, I'm back in the moment. So what I like about this is that it's just one of those grab and go type things, and it's so easy to make, and you can really do it with any fruit that you want to. And today I even have a scale here so I could, and a measuring spoon. So I'm gonna try to see if I can give you an exact formula. I mean, it's not just for children, it's for adults too. Great way to get some raw eggs in your system, some raw butter, and some raw cheese, all high in fat-soluble minerals, omega-3, and all the delicious B vitamins are in these eggs. These are all the eggs that I put in one basket. And I have some nectarines that were in the refrigerator. They were ripe, and I put them in the refrigerator, and they all kind of shriveled, right? But I'm not going to throw these away. Just because they're shriveled, it just means that the flavor is more concentrated. Same thing with when I go shopping. I don't do many fruits, but when I do them, or if I'm going for an apple or a pear, I always look for the apple with the most kind of slightly wrinkled skin, because it just means that the flavor is more concentrated, like it's almost dehydrating, but the flavor becomes more concentrated. Maybe that's a good way to look at mature women. Yeah, we have more wrinkles, but our flavor is more concentrated. We're not just kind of whatever. We know more who we are, and it's yeah, I kind of like that. I like that concept of a mature woman, or an older woman, or whatever you want to call it, is like, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start this recipe, and again, we have the flavors of salty, sweet, sour, and fatty. I'm going to put all of those into this formula because that's the flavor. That's why we love cake, because it's always got saltiness to it, the baking soda and salt. It's got sweetness, and some cakes, that usually any good cake, you'll always put a little bit of lemon rind into it for the sourness. And of course, there's plenty of butter and things like that for fat, except it's not raw. So when it's not raw, it's not medicinal. But this is medicinal breakfast dessert. So I'm going to cut into this nectarine and see how badly ripened it is, or how beautifully ripened it is. As long as it hasn't turned to alcohol, that's not good. And that will only happen to women who eat a lot of sugar. Their bodies will start to turn into alcohol. I don't know where these analogies come from, but this just still smells like fruit. There's no alcohol in it. It's not fermenting. So I'm using just a plain old Cuisinart, what do you call it? Food processor, right? Nothing fancy. So I'm putting, I would say use anywhere from 1 to 2 nectarines or more, depending on how large your food processor is and how many children or adults or whatever you're feeding. So that will determine how big you want to make it. So I got this little mini processor, so I'm just gonna put in maybe 1.5 nectarines. And what you need to remember is that the more fruit you put in, the more creamier it will be, or the more liquidy it will be. I kind of like it a little thicker, but so with this other half of this, I have 3 nectarines. With this other 1.5 nectarines today, my next video, which will occur as soon as I finish this one, I'm going to attempt to make like a Jello type gummy bear thing that's raw. The only thing that won't be raw is the gelatin, but I think that might also be another fun treat for children, for them to get some good quality high protein from the gelatin and some lovely fruit and some raw honey, but none of it is going to be heated. So I don't know yet how successful that will be. We'll find out. God, I love it when food just goes all over your hands. It's just so, I don't know, I think that's what it's meant to do. Yeah, I mean, when the nectarine is kind of more mature, older, the sweetness and the whole nectarineness of it is more intense. It seems like I wear the same clothes every. That's what happens when you're in the country. You just, where do you go? You go to the mailbox. You go to the farmer's market. You kind of end up wearing the same clothes. Every day I've been wearing, these are the only comfortable rubber boots that I found. They got little dogs on them. And I've just been wearing them every day because this is how you prevent chiggers from crawling up your leg. This is the only way, because they will go on leather, they will go on cloth. So this is like my new identity, the goofy dog boots. Anyway, so, oh wait, rinse my hands after I touched my shoes. Okay, so got the fruit in there. And now, so that was like 1.5 nectarines. And now I'm going to put some raw butter in there. The raw butter, basically what I've discovered is that like raw cream is much harder to find. You know, it's much harder to get a hold of raw cream, but raw butter is more reasonable. So I was trying to find ways to create the kind of things that I would create with raw cream without having the cream. And butter is basically the next stage after cream. You know, you're churning the cream and you create the butter. So I'm kind of maybe reverse engineering it, or trying to find a way to do it without the cream. So normally what I would do, like my favorite dessert, if I had access to raw cream all the time, dessert breakfast, is that I might whip the cream and blend some nectarines with some with an egg or something, and then put the whipped cream on top of it, or just chop up a nectarine and put whipped cream on top of it. It's like crazy, ridiculously delicious. But since I don't have access to raw cream all the time because it goes bad so fast, and here we can only order every 2 weeks from the Amish farm, I've decided to see what I could do with the butter. So, okay, 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, and the more butter you put in, the stiffer it will become because the butter will harden. So that's 3 tablespoons, and let's say 4 tablespoons. Okay, 4 tablespoons of butter. And then once I blend it, I'll see if that was the right combination. But again, you know, create with what you have in your refrigerator. I think this would also be really good if you did it with figs, if you have access to figs. I just bought a fig tree that's sitting right here, and I'm praying and hoping that it will do okay indoors. It's supposed to be an indoor fig tree. Okay, now the next thing is I'm going to put some raw eggs in there. And as you know, every time you do a raw egg, you got to go one by one to make sure that there's nothing that doesn't have any, you know, that it's not bad or rotted. Now, why did I have the scale here? Oh, yes, to weigh the cheese. Okay. All right, so now I put 1 egg in there, and I'm going to clear my nasal passages by doing a Tibetan breathing exercise off camera. Okay, now I will smell it. Smells like nothing, pleasant egg smell, but nothing bad. So that this egg passed the test, so I'm putting it in there. And I like to get as many raw eggs in me, you know, any excuse I can have to eat raw eggs, whether I'm making like a raw tomato sauce, or, you know, that's a more like tomato with basil and garlic. I'll put eggs in there too. Or, and when I'm doing something sweet like this, a breakfast treat, I will also put in as many eggs as I think will work. So let's see this egg. Still okay. Nothing deadly or dangerous in there. And now for the last ingredient, oh, maybe not the last. It's the unsalted raw cheese. I had all this sitting out here for a while so that it kind of becomes room temperature. I'm not sharing this dessert with anybody. I'm just making this for myself. That's why I lick the knife. But you know what? Just in case I am going to share it with somebody, I'm going to wash the knife. See how hygienic? Okay. So now the cheese will also make it thicker. It's like a thickener, but it also adds a lot of really good protein. And of course the butter too, and the cheese add different bacterial cultures. We want as much culture as possible. We don't want to be just a bunch of country bumpkins. I want culture to make up for all the lack of culture. I have to put culture in my food. Oh God, I hope the world gets its common sense back together, and that I can go to Lincoln Center again without being part of the, what would I call it? I call it the coconut voodoo plandemic. I miss culture. I miss great art. Okay, so now this is 4 ounces. 4 ounces of raw cheese into small pieces, and I'm gonna put it in here. And in a way, I don't know if you've seen my other videos where I make cheesecake, where I make a raw cheesecake. This is kind of basically similar idea, because this will be You know, in the raw cheesecake, the only difference is in the raw cheesecake, I don't put any fruit in it. And so then it becomes really stiff. But the fruit makes it way more liquidy. Now, I am a huge fan of Madagascar vanilla. It's very expensive, hard to find. I have this Madagascar vanilla now. No, you won't believe this. It's already 10 years. So you can see how it lasts a long time. And it's still got the full smell potency. So I'm going to put, I just think vanilla and nectarine sounds good to me. So I'm going to do that. But that's not necessary. It'll be delicious even without it. And now, very important little trick. Always put a tiny dash of salt. So it'll give it that cooked, see how little? So it'll give it that cooked flavor, but just a really tiny dash. Give it that cooked, cakey, creamy, dessert, fancy flavor. So I think that's it. That's all. So it was 4 ounces of cheese, and I don't remember, was it 4 tablespoons? 4 tablespoons of butter. And now we blend and hope that it will have a pleasant taste. I guess we can check in and see what the flavor is doing. Whoa. Wow. Now, if you want more of that kind of tarty, cheesecakey flavor, you could add some lemon to this, or some lime if you want that summery dessert. Wow, but I think it's just, wow, perfect as it is. Now, if you have children and you're doing this for children, you can add a little honey. Nothing wrong with that. I like it just at that fine edge, and because these nectarines are so mature and concentrated in flavor, I don't think it needs any honey. They add plenty of sweetness. So basically what I'm going to do, let me blend it some more, because it's, I mean, you could leave it chunky, but I like it smooth. And then at the end, if you want, you can take like some blueberries, or cut up some fruit that goes with nectarine, like blueberries, or even raspberries would go, or cut up strawberries, even though I generally don't eat strawberries, because even when they're organic, they're not necessarily organic, because they say there's all these, you know, ways that you could slip in pesticides to things like strawberries, and but particularly strawberries, because they say you can't put pesticides. There's no rule that says you can't put pesticides or something in the water that you water the strawberries with. I mean, none of the strawberries you get in the store look like strawberries look in nature. They're big, you know, in nature they're always small and concentrated and delicious, whereas most of the strawberries they don't have that, like the moment you true strawberry, when you're like within, you know, a foot of it, you'll be like smelling that aroma. That's not the case when you get them at Whole Foods, sorry to say. Okay, let me blend. I think that's good now. Wow. Now that is, oof, that's flavor. So then all you do is you pour it into these, which I don't need to do. You know how to pour something, right? And put it in the refrigerator, and you could have, like, you know, 10, whatever of these in the refrigerator, and it'll last like about a week or so. So every time you're running out the house, you grab one of these, or your child wants a snack, you give them this for breakfast. And it's like a breakfast dessert. Don't feel like you're having breakfast, but you're having eggs and raw cheese and raw butter for breakfast. So, and it will also, it's just so, it lasts such a long time. Like your body is, you know, the fructose of the fruit doesn't like get absorbed really fast into your system because of all the fats. So it takes its time. So it's like this time release. And you eat one little jar like that, and you'd be good for 5 hours, you know, and you can just do your day. Or even just a little bite in midday will keep you sustained and well nourished. And that's what we want. So this was fun, and I'm going to do the gelatin experiment next. So thank you for hanging out with me. And till next time, Dagmar signing off.